Hey, what's going on, everyone? How are y'all doing? And I got a little baby in the background screaming. Uh, I see we have some comments from earlier today. Sorry, I had to reschedule a bit, but here to share any tips, any advice. So if you are joining us sometime soon, welcome to drop a question in the comment section, or even join us here live. Of course, don't I don't recommend trying to share too much of your personal situation because who knows, the government could be watching. But hey, what we can do here on the live show is address any procedural type steps. If you're concerned that your case is stuck, to be honest, most likely. But some people think that their case is stuck, but really it's just normal processing times. And let's see, what else can we share? There's just a bunch of things we can talk about. Maybe visa bulletin. There's also things about DACA I talked about last week. That there's a final rule about that, so that's great news. And let's see. Well, I see a comment earlier that could be helpful for other folks. Let's see here. Okay, it says your category. This could be helpful for a lot of folks here. Silver Star. Your category F4, priority date March 2011. Okay, so let's check that out. Let's look at that together because we get a lot of questions about the visa bulletin. When is the next step? So I can, I'm out, by the way, I'm going to also share with you news about PD, prosecutorial discretion. It's still alive, folks. It's still alive. Okay. Right now, so let me share my screen here. Love to always share what I'm looking at. Okay, I pulled up the visa bulletin. Some of you might be familiar with this, okay? So this is, you can Google search visa bulletin and you want to look up, find the one that's the most recent or yeah, upcoming one. And let me see if I can make this bigger. Oop, that's way too big. And then you scroll down, they're going to show the family-based category first. And so Silver Star, that's what your question is, F4. Okay, so F4, brother and sister of adult U.S. citizen. They're going to run into final action date. I would skip that first, okay, and then go to chart B, dates for filings, families sponsored visa applications. You mentioned F4. Did you tell me the country? Okay, you did not tell me the country. If you're still on, Sliver Star. Okay, not silver. Sliver Star. Interesting. Okay, so let me know which country, but you can see here if you're joining later is the we got we're gonna skip this first column, but China, nationals from India, Mexico, and Philippines. These are the quote unquote most populated, or in terms of most applications that the US government receives. So all other countries are in this left column. So let's just pretend that which priority date March 2011. Okay, so only one, none of them will work. Okay, the priority date has not reached. All these dates right here, the last two digits here are the year. So these are all before the one that Sliver Star mentioned. Okay, so even though the petition's been approved in 2013, that does not mean you can move to the next step. Okay, so just to remind y'all, petition, I'll take this off screen real quick. Petition is step number one, and the next step is waiting for the visa number. Okay, because as you probably already know, there's limited visa allocated to certain categories. In this situation, we're calling it family preference. Now, if you hear like, oh my, y'all hear stories from friends and family, take a little caution on that because just because someone got a green card, it depends on the category, the family relationship, or even the employment-based relationship category. So, for example, because marriage to a U.S. citizen has a much shorter waiting period, or they claim, there's no waiting period. The visa is immediately available, so that's why we call it immediate relative. Whereas if you're getting married to someone who has status, but it's as a legal permanent resident, and you're in the US, that does take much longer, but we also recommend that if you're in the US, hot tip right here. If you're in the US without status or overstayed your visa and you're getting married to a US, I'm sorry, a resident, we highly recommend that your spouse or fiance becomes a citizen first before applying for you. Okay, there's a lot of reasons, but um, one I can say is that your unlawful presence, um, if you had entered with a visa, is not waived if you don't marry a U.S. citizen. So that's a hot tip right there. Hopefully, you don't waste your time and money, because when you file a petition based on resident spouse, but then your resident spouse does become a citizen, you have to refile a petition. Okay, so that's really important. We really don't want you to waste money, time, and stress. Okay, so hopefully, anyway, that's a slight tangent there, but hopefully, Sliver Star, I was able to answer your question. How much time required? I guess you could say, you're wondering how much more time. Again, it depends on which country of nationality you're talking about. But right here, we're looking at chart B. Let's just let's just let me just assume you're national of Philippines for this exercise. 2004. That means when it hits prior date April 2004, then you can start processing for the next steps for the consular processing for the interview abroad. Whereas, so if you have, since you have 2011 prior date, just roughly speaking, probably I would just say, to be safe, 5 to 7 years minimum. But I would definitely check this since it's so far out. I would definitely check this every year. But when it gets closer, I highly recommend checking every month because you don't want to miss. So here's another hot tip. Okay. Friends, we've received a lot of calls where, of course, we're the immigration problem solvers. So we hear about a lot of people that filed a petition years ago, got prior date, and prior date does show up. Let's say in like the Philippines, and already showed they have a prior date that was before April 2004. So that means it's ready to go to the next step. But if it passes one full year after that, after it reached on we call it reached on the visa bulletin, then there's very limited circumstances where you can basically keep that case alive. Otherwise, you have to do it all over again. And that's a long wait time. Okay, folks. So you really have to basically put it on your Google Calendar, whatever it is that you use for a calendar, or Siri, I guess, Apple Calendar. Put it as a reminder at least every year. And then when it gets closer, 1 to 2 years closer to that time frame, every month. Okay. It's just stressful. We've got a lot of calls about people that miss out. And sometimes they miss out. It's not their, not your fault, but we got a lot of technology now. Take advantage of it for your calendar reminders. I have to remind myself to take out the trash. That puts me in a good spot with my wife. I'll tell you that. So take advantage of that technology, okay, to remind you. But other scenarios that people just miss out is also because they have no idea what's going on. They don't understand this process that I just shared with you. So please save this video for the future or our other videos talking about the visa bulletin if you're in a situation like this with a family preference case, a petition, okay? Because we just don't want to. Yeah, we had a couple calls where people they hire like they claim it's a lawyer, but clearly it's not because they have not been shared this information. I would love to believe most lawyers, immigration lawyers, share this information. But hey, at least on our channel, greencardguys.tv, we want to share as many tips as possible to save you time, to save you problems in the future, or maybe even to solve your problems. Okay. Which, by the way, friends, um, we do offer free 15-minute preliminary consultation to see if you do qualify for services or even help you point you in the right direction. We do offer, free guides depending on the problem that you might be going through. And even for folks, hopefully this is a good segue. For folks that, let's just say even you did receive your residence card very recently, you come into the United States and you really don't want to come into the United States. I get that feeling from clients actually, because maybe they have a business in the country they've been living in or country of nationality. And, they just don't want to leave because they got a business they got to run, right? But you have to come and get your residency, get your card. And then what people ask is, how do I maintain my status? Is it possible when I have to go back to run my business, right? So you have to apply for a re-entry permit. Okay, it's typically valid for 2 years. So you're basically telling the government, hey, I'm going to be out outside of America and I can't maintain those 6 months, because the general rule is you do have to meet and maintain minimum 6 months every calendar year, and you to maintain your resident status. Now, um, one main reason to maintain it, or two main reasons, you don't want to the customs officer when you come back in the airport or something, and they say, "I see that you haven't been here in a while. We're gonna we're gonna revoke your status." The other reason is if you want to become a U.S. citizen. Now, I understand some of y'all don't want to become a citizen because maybe in your certain country it's just difficult to take your money out or get retirement benefits. So I get it, but we could use your vote if you do want to consider to become a citizen, and we do have resources on how to help you study for the exam. Okay, we're as you can tell, we're much different here at Ting Law Group. We really want to share tips that can get you all the way across through the various stages of U.S. immigration status, conditional residency, remove those conditions to get permanent residency, and then to become a U.S. citizen. But hey, no pressure if you don't want to become a U.S. citizen. Let's see here. So, yeah, so you want to apply for that. Another hot tip right here in terms of applying for the reentry permit. Now, you certainly don't need a lawyer for that, but if you just feel more comfortable, of course, you should hire one. Uh, but here's the thing: timing. Unfortunately, the reentry permit, the 131 application, you're not going to get the card, the reentry permit card, that quickly. Not as quickly as you like. So you need a game plan. You need to strategize. That's what we do here at Ting Law Group. So if you are planning to come to America, you want to hire a lawyer, or even if you don't hire a lawyer, you really should go ahead and fill out that paperwork, fill out that form, um, and then send it in as soon as you get your residency. Okay, and then the other thing is that people ask, can I leave after I file that application? And here's the deal: there's something called biometrics for fingerprints. So they're going to want you to take your fingerprints here in the US, locally to the address that you provide the government. So you cannot leave until at least you get the biometrics. Now, can you leave after you take the biometrics and before you get the card? That's up to you. I mean, there's no interview process for this, but there's no guarantee that there's no guarantee you'll get approved for it. But at the same time, you only get that one card. You get that card, like a physical card. And I don't know about you, but for me, with the pandemic and everything, with mailing and let alone mailing just across town, um, you don't want your mail to be lost. And let's say you waited at least 6 months on average just for this card to arrive. I just highly recommend just waiting. Hopefully, you can figure out things in your country in the meantime. But I highly recommend just waiting until you get that card. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And as I mentioned before, we do have so yeah, that's important because I've been hearing from some of y'all that I mean, y'all get some of y'all you get the residency and then you call it immigration prison because some people do. Maybe it depends on ethnicity or culture, but you call it immigration prison because you want to go back to your country. And I know some of y'all want to maybe you're a U.S. citizen watching this and you're thinking about applying for your parents. That's the thing. I often get these kind of questions for their parents, and the parents don't really want to stay in America, but the adult children need help with with their own kids, taking care of the grandkids. But of course, you don't want to come in and out on B1, B2 that many times in 1 year because customs could revoke your visa. So it's usually sometimes better to just save the stress to go ahead and just apply for residency. Okay, so that's what I highly recommend. Um, and you can always perpetually apply for this reentry permit. So this is a hot question we received this past week. One more thing is, but in the meantime, again, if you have any questions, go ahead and just drop it in the comments. Of course, if for some reason you're watching this later on and you do have a question, give us a call right here, or you can go to our website. We have it down below, greencardguys.com, and answer a couple questions on the form on the Contact Us page. You have the opportunity to go ahead and self-schedule an appointment so you can speak with one of our attorneys. But you need the secret code because it's going to ask you for it. So we're going to go ahead and share it with you right now. You've been so patient. Thank you so much. Okay, it's right here on the bottom left of your screen. You could have guessed it if you're a first-time watcher. Green Card Guys. Okay, greatly appreciate you guys watching. And here, this is how you go to our website. Once you pull up greencardguys.com, click on Contact Us, scroll down, and there's a form. It does look a little different now. Is that there's a button to go to the form, so just cleaner. We did make a lot of changes to the website, so let me know in the comments what you think about our website. Appreciate my team for working so hard on it. I greatly appreciate it. The other topic, okay, that a lot of people are asking about is the prosecutorial discretion. Does it exist? Because they saw a court order that doesn't exist. It exists. It's always existed. The lawsuit is more specified on those conservative folks that really don't want the government to be efficient when it's a Democratic president in office. It's kind of interesting how it works, right? So unfortunately, I cannot keep politics out of our channel because politics, unfortunately, does affect immigration status and ability to apply for a lot of folks. In fact, what was that number? 13 million people at least that are in the U.S. without status. So let's find a way to advocate for each other so you can get status. Okay. But yeah, PD, we've been getting, fortunately, what we do is really a two-step process. Number one is we request the Department of Homeland Security to join our motion to dismiss your case. Now, of course, we have to provide them sufficient reasons, the easier cases, you could say, but even though it could be considered easy and meet those priority guidelines, even though they don't really exist anymore, that's why it's a second step, right? There's two steps, because even if the Department of Homeland Security attorneys agree, you still have to, what we do, file the actual motion signed by us attorneys, and then we send it to the court so the judge can review it. At the end of the day, it depends on the judge. Okay. Fortunately, knock on wood, we've been successful. I cannot guarantee results for your case because I'm not allowed to as an attorney, according to my state rules. But we will provide you a decent idea to the best of our ability during a consultation. And again, it's free. So if you're watching this, if you just joined us and missed the secret code, you can replay this later on and get that secret code. Let's see here. What else to share with y'all? I've been a little slow on this, but I do have a TikTok channel, greencardguys_John. And we do have a Facebook group, Green Card Guys Academy on Facebook. Check that out. Always love to share information on there as well. And let's see what else. If for some reason you're not in the United States and need to contact us and it's hard to reach us, we do have WhatsApp. That's our phone number on WhatsApp, 346-330-5888. And well, I don't see any other comments for now. I greatly appreciate it. There's just so much I can talk about. Oh yeah, one more thing. We've been getting success for cases that are delayed. Now I know some attorneys don't. Some attorneys know about mandamus. Okay, that is a solution. That's a federal lawsuit when cases are stuck and delayed. Now, let's say your case has been processing, your petition or your entire case in processing 6 months. I know it can be frustrating for y'all, especially if you're separated physically, and you want to be close to each other. I get it, but 6 months is not unreasonable enough. Okay, so you definitely want to, whether you know it's unreasonable or not, you're welcome to contact us. We actually have a free guide on our website. Go down below on our homepage. Actually, I think if you click on any page, you should see it. There's a free guide about mandamus, and I believe it does show the different scenarios. Okay, when you can We can file a lawsuit. Hi, Badru. Nice to see you. I know one of my team members had a chat with you. Um, I believe they did. Your case has been pending for 4 years. What can you do? Um, yeah, once it reaches at least 4 years, in our opinion, it's ready to file a lawsuit, Badru. Okay, so we'll touch base with you. Okay, one of our team members. Yeah, you threaten them. Yeah, I mean sometimes it works, but asylum cases are a lot more difficult because there's just so many. There's just thousands of asylum cases, and so they're just working through that backlog. But the reason, so that's why I think some attorneys are hesitant. Or some attorneys are hesitant to file for asylum cases for mandamus because you know we feel bad, right? So just to be honest with you, you have to be ready. We don't want to file a lawsuit unless you believe you have a strong claim. And I believe my team did speak with you. Okay, 4 years in October 31st. Okay, so we'll be ready for you. Okay, whenever you're ready to file, we'll help you out. But here's the thing, you have to, of course, everyone, I love to believe that everyone that does file an asylum application 589 form has a strong claim. But of course, there are some out there that are not actually strong. So, and I believe you, I know you do have an attorney for your asylum case. Which, by the way, friends, if you are considering an asylum attorney, Brian Manning, okay, he has a YouTube channel as well. He also has TikTok, but he all he does is asylum. So I love that because I know that he can focus on that. Okay, because asylum cases are difficult. Hey, I'm not saying that other immigration attorneys are not good at asylum cases. There certainly are, but it's kind of like criminal defense or any other specific area of law. I would recommend someone who only does that area of law. But please do your own due diligence. Whoever you talk to, whichever lawyer, you really need to feel comfortable, okay, with them. In some ways, it's like it's a relationship, right? So it depends on if you get along with them, things like that. Um, I highly recommend that. I say that more. I say that act proactively because we get a lot of calls about people that have a bad experience with their previous or current lawyer. As simple as not even answering the phone or not having one of their attorneys call back. It's mind blowing. I can't believe it. But yeah. So, anyways, I'll stop with my diatribe, my tangent there. But okay, so yeah, 4 years minimum, I would say, for asylum. Okay, Badru. So one of our team members will give you a call. Make sure you had a chance to. We can answer all your questions on that. Let's see what else. But yeah, we've had success. We filed one in the Northern District of Texas, maybe about, I believe it was about less than 2 months ago, and that person just had the interview yesterday. So now we're just waiting for the decision. Okay, and then so that's usually what happens, and then average 2 months. Can't I can't promise timing on the outcome after filing a lawsuit for everyone, but average 2 to 3 months. Okay, of getting some kind of progress. Okay, and the outcome could be the interview, because if you haven't had the interview at all, or the decision itself. Okay, Adi, you're asking about, will EB to India progress at all fiscal year 2023? I've heard some talk on Twitter from other attorneys that there is supposed to be progress, but it's for me it's frustrating because it seems that the government's kind of going back and forth. So hopefully yours is 2.5 year retrogress. Okay, yeah. There's been talk that they're gonna use all of the visas allocated for employment base. So I really hope that that is true because, as you know, Adi, historically they don't use it, and why would they not use it? Just that's because the government wants to control and delay immigrants from coming to U.S. And that typically is not just a Republican thing because it does happen in both administrations. So they only take action in general when we speak up. And that is why we sue the government in certain situations. Okay. So, sorry, Artie, I don't know if I could give you a definite answer on that because I don't work for the government. Okay. Yours is 2014 January. Okay. I still have the visa bulletin up. If you hear whining in the background, it's because it's my dog. Okay, so EB2. Okay. Yeah, right now chart B I see. Let me see if I can share my screen again. Right now for India, EB2, I see May 2014. So yeah, hopefully that gives you some kind of indication. Okay, but you did not file 485 as you're out of country. I gotcha. Okay, I guess you couldn't. Maybe you couldn't. You couldn't renew your H-1B if you had one. Okay, that could happen to some folks. Which, by the way, so if you have friends who have H-1B, you might know now by strategy is like we just got a bunch approved recently in the past 2 months for H-1B, and they're getting it for the first time. And what we do, again, YouTube, TikTok, all this for us is about sharing tips and knowledge, and especially with employers we encourage employers to sponsor for residency because it's like a big elephant in the room that folks, we H-1B visa holders need to ask about it. And you can't be demanding things, okay? Because HR doesn't like that. I can tell you for firsthand experience when they speak with me. So you still need to take some kind of, respectful, friendly approach to it when you're asked to be sponsored not just for the H-1B, but also for residency. Some HR or some companies might not even have a official HR department. So if you are getting, frustrated about how to explain it, don't worry. We're right here, greencardguys.tv, to help share information. I mean, you're welcome to share YouTube videos about us with the employer, but what I highly recommend is we do have is to contact us, okay? Because we do have very specific videos that's not on YouTube to help share knowledge with employers. They're usually like 60 seconds to answer common questions, and that usually helps employers make a quicker decision to help sponsor. Okay, so yeah, I just don't recommend waiting after the first term because it just takes a long time for this a perm EB residency process. Generally, 2 years just for the first steps. Not even talking about the 45. So that's why we've been getting a lot of calls about the self petition options, which I don't, folks. I don't want to break any hearts, but yeah, I mean, we Ting Law Group does the best we can to provide you as much due diligence as possible as a strategy session. I mean, that's not free for a strategy session, okay? Because everyone that calls about self petition believes that they're the best at everything. I get it. You had to self petition. You do have to believe you're the best at your field. I get it, but you also need proof. Okay, it's not saying you got to be a top 5 in your industry or your field for it. Um, but anyways, yeah, if you do call us about self petition, you're more than welcome to, but please have some proof. Okay. And by the way, I believe we do have a free guide about that on our website. I think it's within the employer guide. So check that out. Okay. Antonio, uh, let's see. I see a question from Antonio. By the way, if you're just joining on the show right now and for the first time, go ahead and please hit subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy our content, please smash the like button. Okay, the way we share information, um, it really helps our channel grow, as you could probably tell during the pandemic. We greatly appreciate it. Antonio, let me see if I can answer your question. I went to your interview. Okay, yeah, we get a lot of cases like this, and you're waiting for approval. Okay, 3 months. Is that normal time for approval? I would wait at least one more month, okay, to make it unreasonable. Okay, yeah, you've been married for 5 years. Okay, yeah, you married for 5 years, Antonio. You're supposed to get the 10-year residency status. Okay, 10 years on your card. Um, I don't like, lawyers don't like to make assumptions, but uh, let's see, or you have another comment. You're married for 5 years and you have been together for 20 years. You have a daughter together. Your wife is a U.S. citizen. Great, wonderful. Glad your wife's a U.S. citizen. And since you did file 485, some people do make mistakes, but since you filed a 485, I hope it's safe to say that you did enter with a visa. Um, and then you don't need a waiver. Okay. Um, let's see, because there are very few people that have called us that have filed a 45, but then they need the waiver because they didn't actually have, maybe they filed by themselves or they had like a notario. Y'all watch out for those notarios. They exist in every community. Okay. It's not just for Spanish speakers. Chinese folk got them. I just don't want to name all the different ethnicities that I know for sure. I'm not trying to like discriminate or anything, but please, buyer beware. Y'all spending probably, I heard these stories. Y'all spending just as much money that you'd be spending on a lawyer. And so there's a lot of differences, obviously, of a licensed attorney that has experience in these cases than an notary that has experience. Okay, because there's no way to fact check them. You can fact check us on our website, at least my texasbar.com. You can look me up. You can look up our reviews. Um, yeah, there's just a lot more information out there when you're a licensed attorney. So anyway, we just heard. Sorry for the side tangent, Antonio. But yeah, if you enter with the without a visa, and then you file 45, you definitely. It's not always the case. You might have an exception. Maybe your spouse, parent, or adult child was in the military, which is an exception to not having legal entry. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, wonderful. You got the TPS. I see your next comment. 3 times with AP. Wonderful. I'm very happy for you, Antonio. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you've been together for 20 years. You probably have way more evidence than most people. So if it's been 3 months and you wait one more month, I really hope you do get that decision in the mail approval, Antonio. But folks, you might be in a similar situation as Antonio, and it's been 6 months. You had the interview already. You had sufficient evidence. So here's the thing, friends. This is not criminal court, okay? You don't need to have evidence where it's like beyond the reasonable doubt. That doesn't exist, okay, for immigration cases. Okay. First of all, immigration cases, it's civil law. The standard, okay, we follow attorneys like us, our law firm, Ting Law Group. We follow the USCIS policy manual. That is the Bible or Torah, whatever religion you follow. It is the go to source for USCIS officers to follow. They can't they can't circumvent that. Okay, it might seem like they do, and they do try to by delaying cases. Okay, whether they are intentionally doing it or not, they just have a lot of cases to go through, and unfortunately, they just literally might misplace it in a different part of their room. So, and that is one reason to file a lawsuit. Okay, don't let them play games with your status. You deserve better. Okay, like an Antonio situation. Don't wait. You've been waiting so many years already. Okay. Now I got amped up. I forgot exactly what else I was going to say. Okay. Let's see here. Yep. So 20 years. Oh, that's right. Standard. Okay. The standard. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's preponderance of evidence. Okay. That is the lowest standard. Okay. In the legal world, okay, for lawyers. Preponderance of evidence, clear and convincing evidence, and then beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's not the top two, it's preponderance of evidence. Of course, when clients hire us, we have our own checklist. I'm going to put it out there. There is a checklist on the USCIS website. You probably know that, okay? But we have our own checklist that we use for every client. It's our bread and butter. Okay. It works every time. So as long as our clients have followed it to the T, as much to the T as possible, and you don't need this much evidence. Okay. It's more like that. But it does take time to collect that evidence from clients. And anyway, it's preponderance evidence. So if you're wondering why the heck is my case taking too long, uh, it's not necessarily because you have a bad case. Now they could take a little longer because maybe if you filed before a prior petition, whether it's with the same spouse or a prior spouse, and if it was with a prior spouse, you might want to make sure if it says something about marriage fraud or have language about what that they think it could be marriage fraud. You want to check that out, okay? Because that will be difficult if that's the case. That'd be very, very difficult. Um, so happy to answer questions about that if you want to call in or fill out the form on our website, greencardguys.com. Let's see here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, if you just jumped on the show, we do have a secret code. I'm just going to go ahead and share it. I do see Luis's question here. Our secret code allows you to unlock a free 15-minute preliminary consultation with our team. There is no obligation to hire us. It's really points you in the right direction to answer any questions, really, because some of y'all are just stuck. Not necessarily because your case is stuck, but now we can't tell you exactly how to file a case. That is providing, of course, legal advice. And anyway, I don't want to go all into that. I have to mention that. That's my disclaimer for the State Bar of Texas, of course. So let's see. I do remember the question. Okay, Luis, finally getting to you. You came in 1990 to America, Estados Unidos, and you left in 2005 because your brother died. I'm very sorry to hear that, Luis. You were caught twice, okay, and you took a fingerprints both times. Do you have a chance to get documentation? Okay, I see a second comment. You're married to a U.S. citizen after your kids. Bless their hearts and yours. I know it's going to be difficult to get your legal status. This is definitely one of those you want to chat with an attorney one-on-one. We offer remote meetings, but in a situation like this, Luis, I'm going to take it off screen now. But in this kind of situation, we do submit FOIA request to verify if they mentioned anything specific about being removed, and recall that the voluntary departure or voluntary return, any kind of information about that. We always want the entire history of someone's immigration status, or history. Okay. Also, I know you didn't mention this, Luis, but for other folks, if you do have crimes and you're trying to get a consultation with attorney to save you time, whether it's our office or someone else's, we really recommend you get a copy of all those paperwork. At least in Texas, in other states, we might call it disposition, a judgment. Sometimes they don't call it an order, actually, but yeah, like a judgment or a they don't call it like plea bargain. That's the plea bargain is more like the process, like negotiation. So those are hopefully a couple tips that you can take back with you, save you some time. Because we do get calls about that, and we have to tell them you have to call us back and give us those documents. Okay, so let's see here. You don't have any crimes at all? Okay, well, that's great. Yeah, but now it's just about at least trying to figure out about your past history on entries and exits. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, Luis, especially for those folks. I know that was 2005 for you, but folks during the pandemic and you actually had to overstay your visa here in the U.S., which reminds me, if you're in the U.S., you overstayed because pandemic, unfortunately, it's not an excuse to the USCIS or the U.S. Immigration Agency's customs. But if you overstay because pandemic and maybe you overstay more so because you want to help out your grandkids, you might as well apply for residency, okay? Because I suspect if you're here in the U.S. And you help out grandkids, you probably have adult son or daughter that has status. Okay, so especially if they're a U.S. citizen, this will be considered immediate relative. So there's no quote unquote waiting time. The visa, aka the resident status, is immediately available. You just gotta apply. And I know it's very similar to what I was discussing earlier, because you're gonna have troubles getting back into U.S. later on, and all that time, in my opinion, is wasted if you're still waiting in the U.S. You might as well apply for resident status. Okay. Because then you're going to trigger, if you don't have that status and then you leave, that's going to trigger a 10-year bar, most likely, if you've been in the U.S. for more than 365 days without status, even though if you entered with status. Okay. So some of y'all know that already and some don't. So I just want to put that out there. Again, if you're just joining for a first time, just had a break from work, thank you so much for tuning in. Here's our website, Green Card Guys. And let's see. Here's the secret code. Okay, so that went away. Here's a secret code if you want to unlock the free 15 minutes because we're here to solve your immigration problem. Thank you so much, friends. We greatly appreciate it. Now I got to get back to work. Have a great weekend. Take care now.